Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to our ongoing health and wellness series with Dr. Peter Glidden, one of the top, if not the top, naturopathic physicians, not just in our country, but the world. Peter and I get a tremendous amount of opposition to this series. From who? Okay. Big pharma, big medicine, big insurance. In other words, what we call the medical industrial complex. You see, what Peter and I have done with this entire series that we've done over the past now 2.5 years has focused on empowerment of you. You. Not big pharma or big medicine or big insurance or big government, but you. And one of the issues that we stress is unity. You uniting with your body and its ability to heal itself. You uniting with other individuals to pass this information on to others. Our enemy, whatever you want to call it, the globalist syndicate, the New World Order crowd, the medical industrial complex, the criminal international banking syndicate, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. Their business model is divide and conquer. To divide all of us. So there is no unity. And by us being divided, it takes the pressure off of them. For us to look, rather than at each other knocking heads, to look at them and go, wait a minute. It's not this guy or this person's that's the problem. It's you. Let me just I'll just pick a name out of the hat. Dr. Scott Gottlieb. Maybe you're the problem. The former commissioner of the FDA and who now sits on, Pfizer's board. Yeah, right. Oh, well, maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're the guy giving me misinformation and disinformation and information that's stealing my health away. You see, our goal is unity and not pointing fingers at each other, but pointing the fingers in the right direction. And that being big pharma, big medicine, big insurance, big government, the medical industrial complex, the criminal international banking syndicate. And that's what Pete and I do. Now, one of the issues that keeps coming up, and many of you, our listeners, have contacted me, is about this fear agenda that has been thrust upon every single person of our country and the world. I cannot mention the names related to this or this, but this is part of the fear agenda. And when they have you in fear, they have you paralyzed and they have you march, reluctantly in many cases march in their direction. By way of example, the Nuremberg trial after World War II. Hermann Goering was being questioned. And one of the questions posed to Hermann Goering was the following. How did you convince the German people to accept all of this? Goering replied, quote, "It was easy and has nothing to do with Nazism. The only thing a government needs to do to turn people into slaves is fear. If you can find something to scare them, you can make them do anything you want." End quote. Title of today's presentation is How to Deal with the Fear Agenda Nutritionally, because this is your single most effective means of dealing with fear and that agenda. It is my honor to welcome my friend, Dr. Peter Glidden, who, in addition to being a phenomenal clinician, is a fantastic author, 2 books you should have, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, his website, drglidden, GLIDDEN.com. Pete, welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform.
Hey, Dave, thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. Talking about, when you were talking about big insurance, a little light bulb went off in my brain. And it goes directly to cause here. It goes directly to fear. And people just haven't thought it through. The only reason that people buy medical insurance is because they're afraid that they're going to get sick. And in getting sick, they're going to have to enter into a relationship with the medical system, which is unbelievably expensive, right? That's why people are tricked or duped or cajoled or whatever into buying medical insurance. And nobody has thought it through. You know, we have a unique perspective here, myself and my colleagues, because number one, we're practicing primary care medicine, and number two, we're outside of the purview of big insurance and the pharmaceutical industry mostly. Some states, medical insurance covers what naturopathic doctors do, but most don't. None in Canada do. So think it through. People buy medical insurance, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, if you're a family, thousands of dollars a month, your entire life, adds up to a small fortune, quite frankly, in medical insurance. And while they were doing that, they got sick. While they were under the tutelage and care of allopathic, pharmaceutical centrist, general practicing doctors, they got sick under the doctor's watch. And then when they did get sick, the doctor didn't know about any therapeutics that even attempted to cure the problem. All that the doctor was trained in was drugs to manage the problem. And people buy it hook, line, and sinker because they haven't thought it through, number one, and number two, because they are simply not aware of any alternatives. And why are they not aware of any alternatives like, let's say, well, naturopathic medicine? Even though it's licensed and regulated, people don't know about it because the medical monopoly doesn't want people to know about it. So people look around and, well, everybody's sick, and the older that you get, the sicker that you get. And, well, you know, it's normal to be sick the older that you get. Well, that's normal in allopathic land. It's not normal in naturopathic land. But people don't know about it because of the monopoly, which is kept in place by the unimaginable wealth and political power of not only the pharmaceutical industry, but big insurance. So the next time you write a medical insurance premium check, I want you to think about that. What exactly are you paying for, and how's that working for you? Not so good. And the only reason that it's there is because of fear.
Very true. And I agree with you 110%. And
you have more experience with the nastiness of the medical insurance industry than just about anybody.
Yeah, we're not exactly buddies, right? They despise me because I call them out on what they do and how they do it and their entire business model.
And they're not used to that.
No.
Because it's a monopoly.
No, that's right.
Right?
That's right.
And because it's a monopoly, they've got free reign for over 100 years to do whatever they want. And they've kind of bought into the false notion that, you know, they're the kings.
Yeah.
And whatever they say goes, and just shut up and come along for the ride. What are you talking about?
Right.
It's nonsense.
Right.
Here we are, Dave.
And one of my major criticisms of medicine today is very few people that are on the front line fight back against that syndicate.
100%.
Right? So many, and I see it where people say, well, docs say, well, you know, I'm busy. I don't have time to do, you know, I get that. But either did I when I was practicing, yet I found the time to confront them.
Well, that's why I like you so much, Dave, because you're the most open-minded medical doctor I've ever met in my life. And, you know, you would think that we've been doing this for so many years now, that there must be at least, I'm going to say conservatively, 100 medical professionals, medical doctors who have listened to what we've had to say. You know how many of them have called me and say, hey, Dr. Glidden, you've got alternatives to drugs for the treatment of high blood pressure. Walk me through how that works. You've got alternatives to dialysis for kidney failure, for arthritis. Walk me through how that works. You know how many of those phone calls I've received? None.
Right.
Because there's two things. There's cognitive dissonance that's drilled into the head of anybody with a professional degree, and confirmation bias.
Well, and there's a third.
Which is?
Fear.
Well, there you go.
Fear that, if I do this, I might be ridiculed. I might be seen as an outlier. I might be, okay. But that's where
lose my license.
Right. See, so that's where we are today. Right. And I'm not discounting that fear. I'm not saying it's not realistic. But there comes a point in time where you got to go, fear, you're over here. Now, let's deal with reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, then that's a good psychological thing to do. And that's a good awareness to have, to be able to separate yourself. And one of the easiest or the best things to help with that psychological displacement of fear is knowledge.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I mean, it's an extreme metaphor. But, back in the day when people thought that lightning and thunder were caused by the gods in the heavens, fighting each other. Yeah. Well, that provokes a lot of fear because there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
What can you do about that? You can't do anything about that. You cower in your cave. That's what you can do.
Right.
But when people figured out through knowledge, well, no, it's the discharge of electricity. And, well, what's electricity? What do you mean? I can use electricity to heat and I can use electricity to cook and I don't need to cut down trees anymore? Well, what?
Yeah.
It's a breakthrough, remarkable, and it immediately eliminated the fear, immediately eliminated it. So to get on the other side of the psychological aspect of fear here, which is 100% of the time on mainstream media now, 100% of the time, you just have to educate yourself. You have to remove the scales from your eyes, because I got to tell you something. This is not rocket science. And once you have experienced the truth, you're in its velvet grasp forever. Gravity exists, whether you believe in it or not. And when you believe in it, everything changes. And medical nutrition is effective, whether you believe in it or not. And when you apply it, you get results. So you just need to educate yourself. And that's why self-promotion here, drglidden.com. I've got tons of information here just about that, about how you can learn the simple steps to take to help your body be as strong as it possibly can. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
It sure does. So let's talk about the fear agenda, and particularly how it can be dealt with from a nutritional standpoint. So give us your recommendations, Pete, because these are sound. I can attest. This is what I do. And believe me, if there's an agenda that tries to shut Dave Janda up, it's the fear agenda, right? We're going to sue you. We're going to beat you up. We're going to do bad things to you. We're going to do bad things to your property. We're going to do bad things to your family. So I am constantly bombarded with this agenda. Yet, do I take any pharmaceutical medications to help me deal with this? Because people say, how do you, friends, Dave, you get so much, how do you deal with this? And I tell them, here's what I do nutritionally. And you know what? Do I seem like I'm living in fear? They go, no, it's kind of spooky. Okay, so educate our listeners, Pete.
Well, this is what a lot of professional athletes are starting to figure out. I mean, life is a great big bowl of stress, right?
Yeah.
It's all kinds of stress all the time, and stress impacts the body physiologically. Things happen to the body when you experience different types of stress. It's emotional stress, financial stress, political stress, environmental stress, aging, stress everywhere all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Fear, which is a psychological stress, has a very specific impact on two organ systems, the endocrine system of the human body. The endocrine system of the human body and the nervous system of the human body. Mm-hmm. Those take the biggest hit when you're, around fear all of the time. Your adrenal glands cycle up, your endocrine system cycles up, your thyroid cycles up, and your nerves become hyperstimulated. Mm-hmm. It's called the fight or flight mechanism. Mm-hmm. It's good to be in the fight or flight mechanism every once in a while, for goodness sakes, right? But to be kind of in a low-grade fight or flight deal because you're involved in a fear agenda, most of your waking hours, turn on TV, there's a little bit of fear there. You talk to neighbors, there's a little bit of fear there. You go down the street, you see people wearing masks, driving all by themselves in their car. There's a little bit of, it's like, you got to be kidding me. It's everywhere all the time. And that has a negative impact on the body, the same way that, for instance, cold weather does. Well, what do you do when you're in cold weather? You bundle up. You don't go out in cold weather in a bathing suit. You bundle up and you deal with it. And then you can deal with it. So when we're exposed to fear, 3 things to do as add-ons to the foundation pack, which is mandatory for everybody all the time. Because the foundation pack, it gives your body all of the essential nutrients that it needs to function the way that nature and God intended it. It's like taking your car in for a tune-up. Your car runs out of oil, you're not going to have that good of a result. Nothing wrong with the engine, but you ran out of oil. Well, guess what? The human body's the same way. There are 90 nutrients that the body needs to function. So we've got to have those bases covered, or everything else we're doing, we're spitting into the wind, for goodness sakes. So the foundation pack first, and then we add to that depending on the nature of the stress. So when there's fear, we support the nervous system and we support the endocrine system. And what do we do that with? We do that with the good herbs adrenal support, the good herbs nerve support, and a nutritional supplement called de-stress, right? Like detoxify, right? Demystify, de-stress, which has some botanical medicines in it, like the good herbs. They're in powdered form, but a lot of B vitamins. And when you're in a fear mode and the fight or flight mechanism is activated, your body burns through B vitamins first. It just burns right through them. So good herbs nerve support for the nerves, good herb adrenal support for the endocrine system, and the de-stress for overall extra added protection, like putting a hat and gloves on when you go out in cold weather, in addition to the, the overcoat. And that's how we do it. And if you do these things, you will find that you're still exposed to the same stimuli, but you're not reacting the way that you used to in the past.
That's right.
Right. And I think that the easiest way for people to understand this is, well, go drink 3 cups of espresso and then see what that does to how you deal with the world and stress. It puts you on edge, makes you hyper. It makes you like a raw nerve, right? And that's a botanical medicine. That's an herb. It's coffee. It's an herb. Well, there are herbs that can hyperstimulate you, like coffee, and there are also herbs that will protect you from stimuli stress. And that's in the good herbs products. And so that's what we do. And it's not rocket science. And there's one more thing that is important to do here, which has nothing to do with nutritional supplements at all. It's attempting to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, that's right. But which, by the way, when I started with the foundation pack, my sleep drastically improved. And I can tell you that's true with, whether it's my kids or my wife, friends that have gone on the foundation pack. That's the first thing they tell me. The first thing I noticed was,
sleep.
Wow, I slept like a rock.
Yeah. So in addition to filling up the tank, so that your body can jump into sleep zone easily, there's one other thing that you need to be mindful of. Sleep is like a train that pulls into the station. And when the train pulls into the station, you have to get on the train.
That's right. You just can't say, If
you wait to get on the sleep train, it's going to leave the station, and God only knows when it's coming back. Maybe an hour, maybe 3 hours later. The circadian rhythm is messed up if you don't jump on the sleep train when it rolls into the station. So here's what you need to do. You take the supplements, you do the add-ons, you're feeling pretty good about life, and then you're mindful of your body's own rhythm. Because there's going to be a time in the night, maybe it's 8:30, maybe it's 9, maybe it's 9:30, maybe it's midnight. It's different for everybody. When the sleep train pulls in, you get tired, you know the feeling, but here's what happens to a lot of people. They've had a hard day, they come home, they have dinner, they play with the kids, they take care of business, whatever they have to do, they try to relax in front of the TV, decompress, whatever, Go on YouTube. By the way, don't go on YouTube. Decompress, right?
Yeah.
And then they get sleepy. So they're on their couch, they're in their armchair, they're getting a little sleepy. It's 9:30 at night, but I can't go to sleep yet. I still have to finish the dishes. I still have to put the laundry away. I still have to brush my teeth, wash my face. So they, instead of jumping on the sleep train, they don't jump on the sleep train, get everything else done, and then go to bed. Got to wait for the next sleep train.
Right.
So be mindful of when your sleep train pulls into the station, and make it a habit to be in bed before that happens. So if your sleep train pulls in at 9:45, more or less every night, you be in bed at 9:30. Everything's handled. You're in bed at 9:30. And if you just do this one simple trick, you're mindful of when your sleep train rolls into town and you're in bed ready to jump on, everything changes. Because when you are stressed out, your brain is overactive, your central nervous system is overactive, and you know what your brain does when you sleep? It flushes itself.
Yep.
Your lymphatic system is one of the systems in the body that removes the waste of cellular metabolism, right? You know, your car engine creates carbon monoxide, the exhaust comes out, right? Well, when your cells work, they create waste products also. And these waste products are eliminated by the body through the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system in the brain is hundreds of times more active when you are asleep. So in order to help your brain clean itself out, flush itself out, and reset, you have to get a good night's sleep. So what do we do to get a good night's sleep? We help the body with the foundation pack. We ease the stress of fear with the add-ons, and be ready to jump on that sleep train. And if you can do those three things, man, you're going to love how you feel.
Folks, we have many people say, well, where do I get all these products? We have them available at operationfreedomhealth.com 24/7. We also have the videos Peter and I have done over the past 2.5 years. Now, if you're going to watch one video, in addition to this one, the one you need to watch is the 12 Bad Foods that Pete did, and that's for free. That's up on the top of the homepage of operationfreedomhealth.com. Full disclosure, purchase of products on that site does support this platform. So we have a fair amount of written information there. We have information on the products. We have our videos. But in addition to that, Pete has his website. In addition to operationfreedomhealth.com, Peter has Dr. Glidden, Glidden.com. As Pete mentioned, there you go. Look at that, ripping the shirt again. Pete has a tremendous amount of in-depth information on health and wellness and nutrition. And then the foundation of your library should be his 2 books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine. They should be the foundation of your library. They are of ours in my home. Pete, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. I'd like to thank you folks for joining me today. Until next time, Dave Jana signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for joining us.